FX presents the Indu Podcast with your host, T. Sterling Watson.
Good morning, Indubians. I'm T. Sterling Watson.
And I'm Kortney.
This is the Indu Podcast, where drive time meets late night talk show as we aim to entertain, enlighten, and provide an auditory escape with knowledge and nonsense. Thank you for stopping by and pressing play. We're recording live from the south side of Wakanda in Little New Indubia on the corner of T'Chaka and MLK Drive. Kortney, how are you today?
I am doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing, oh man, I forgot the word I was using last time. Spectacular. We'll just go spectacular.
That's a good word.
Yes. I would say so. It started out pretty well. Well, most mornings I would say if I'm going to work, I'm waking up and actively deciding, will I choose violence today? And most times it's not. I'll just go with apathy like I normally do. And then I will head off to work, maybe grab a sandwich on the way. Lately I've tried to doing better, eat sandwiches at home, or I may stop at Dunkin'. Shout out to Dunkin' in the Northeast over here, because I think you only have one in all of Little Rock. So
that I know of, yeah.
That you know of, right. So you still haven't tried that snack and bacon, if they even have it.
Nope, I ain't even tried it yet.
When was the last time you've been to a Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't know that I ever have. I don't know. I don't think I ever have. I know, right?
Well,
like I have a lot of explaining to do, but I really have no good reason to not, have gone there other than I just ain't never gone.
I believe I understand. I'll put it this way. Wow, things just keep updating and just making little noises.
Right.
Anyway,
now you're updated.
I know. A little peek behind the curtain. There was a whole bunch of like rebooting and restarting that happened before we started recording. So, yeah. But yes, that's also something to add to the list. Once you visit Connecticut, we'll bring you to a Dunkin'. Well, that's what it's called now. It's no longer just Dunkin' Donuts. It's just Dunkin' because they're like, hey, we're more than donuts now. So, and the funny thing about it is, even though I'm joking, although it's probably true, you only have one in Little Rock. There are like, in the city I am currently recording in right now, there's probably about maybe 10.
Wow.
And yeah, there's
seems
some
like a lot.
It does. And it's ridiculous because you can almost know what? There's another city in Waterbury, or rather there's a city called Waterbury, and there is a Dunkin' that's housed inside of a gas station. And if you go outside of that gas station, you can lean against the wall of that Dunkin' basically and kind of peer over a hill, and you just throw a rock really, really, strong with all your might, and you're going to hit another Dunkin' Donuts clear across the street. It's less than half of a mile away. I know this because Dunkin' has an app that you can use to pre-order, just like pretty much everything else, but they got this situated long before the pandemic happened. So they're like, hey, order your stuff at this Dunkin'. I'm like, cool. So I figured while waiting in drive through, I'm like, okay, let me order my stuff now. So all I have to do is like, hey, Sterling's here. Let me get my stuff. I already paid for it. And yes, by the way, my neck is moving around because, I'm all sassy like that. But once I get to the window, they're like, we don't have your order. I'm like, what's happening? And I'm like, yeah, it's not here. So I checked again, and sure enough, it's the one that's across the street. So like 0.3 miles away. So I'm like, oh, yeah. So I waited in this ridiculously long line just to be told I'm in the wrong Dunkin' because you guys have built them so close to each other. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's how, Starbucks or Dollar General, that's how that is here in the South, or churches even, like not Church's Chicken, but just like churches.
Oh, church. Yeah. See, I was thinking Church's Chicken.
No, there's only a couple of churches that I can even think of off the top of my head, but generally you're gonna run into a church, like a house of worship, a Dollar General, and I guess maybe it's Starbucks. They're kind of popping up everywhere. Even more so than Walmart's here. It's a little weird.
We had, let me say first with Church's Chicken. Those don't start popping up around the north unless, or if you're going south from Connecticut, I think you don't start running into them until New Jersey.
Gotcha.
Last time I've seen one. And Church's, yes, there are plenty, especially depending on what city you're in, and especially in Connecticut, certain parts, there's a lot of Hispanic and Latin folks here. So you'll run into a lot of Spanish churches. So that's prevalent. And you wouldn't really know unless you're looking outside and see the sign, and it's usually something in Glacias and, something in Spanish. So you just like, oh, there's a church right there too. Yeah, they're around. You said Starbucks. Not as much, like they are around, but not as much as Dunkin', because this is Dunkin' country. So
gotcha.
You'll see them, but they're not as prevalent. And plus, I've got a bone to pick with Starbucks now that we're on it. And this was not on my sheet here. You
I need to hear it now.
You ruffled a feather.
Ruffle those feathers.
And this is something that at least my fellow coworkers can relate with me with, because we have a Starbucks in our building, and it's like right there, pretty much good access to it. So it's like, hey, I'm going to go grab, whatever I need to get me through the day, because the day is driving me crazy, or I'm just tired, whatever. And at a whim, I don't know who makes these decisions, but they'll just decide, we're not going to open today. And there's
what?
Right. You just won't know until you get there, and you find
until you get there. Oh,
now get this. The thing about it is, it's like almost like tucked away, like way down, like this mile-long hallway, and you can't tell. Okay, Java just updated. You can't tell the irony. You can't tell that it's closed until you get to the glass doors that are actually closed, and says, "Hey, we're closed until like next week," or they're just closed. There's no sign or like of anything.
Can you imagine you get a taste of their delicious food and drink in your mind, in your like on your tongue? You can taste it before you get there. You're ready to give them your money. You're ready to just give it all, risk it all for them. And then you get there and they're freaking closed with no explanation, no forewarning. They're just, sorry about your luck. Try us next time. Like, I would get into the habit of calling them first, or checking if they've updated social media or something, just because I would hate to get there and then just be so unceremoniously turned away back to the streets. Like, it's just not okay.
Kortney Mary Beth Hinton. I can't tell you how many times, or maybe it's at least 3 that I can recall, maybe in the last year, that I've gone with not only the hankering, but the need of some espresso just to get me through like the last third of the day. And I'm like, let me go hit them up real quick. And I guess I'll give you this. Maybe there is a phone number I should or could call ahead of time. Say, hey, are you guys open? I don't know what the number is. I don't know if I feel like looking for it. But again, you don't know until you get down that hallway and you find out that they're closed. Other issue,
no, thank you.
The other issue that I have is that they close at 2 p.m.
I knew you were going to say 2 p.m. I just knew it. And then you said it. And I'm just like, that's just, what kind of business is it? What kind of establishment is this?
This is almost like what I've been hearing this lately. I don't know how long it's existed, but there's this thing called Rhino, which is Republican in name only. So I think this is a Starbucks in name only, where they have Starbucks products, but you can't use like the Starbucks rewards. You can still use like the app, but you can't like pre-order ahead of time. You can still like pay with the app and the card and all that stuff. But if they're like running certain specials that's only available within the app, you can't use it. Like I said, the hours are, I don't want to say they're wonky, but they're unreliable, I would say. And I'll admit, I've only gone maybe a couple times out of the month, but I think because of the unreliability, I go even less, because I don't want to go up there just to get disappointed. I can have a cup of disappointment elsewhere in the building. I could just go
Right.
just be unhappy somewhere else. Or
I agree.
I can get the terrible coffee that's in the cafeteria. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. The coffee is not great. But sometimes, hey, maybe it'll do what it needs to do. And knowing me,
Right.
it's iced coffee that I want anyway. So
Right. It'll do the trick.
kind of, or at least in my head, it's going to, because I'm like, okay, if I pretend this has the effect that I would say a Starbucks coffee should have, and I am no Starbucks purist. I'm more of a Dunkin' than a Starbucks, but I'm one of those people that, hey, we can all play together. Same thing with Macs and PCs. We can all play together. Android and iPhone together. Get that Microsoft Windows phone out of here. Remember when that used to be a thing? I digress.
That's a whole different conversation for a whole different day. I don't even have the strength to go there. I just don't.
My mother had one.
Bless.
But I do want to praise the cafeteria at my job because they make the most delicious breakfast sandwiches ever, in my opinion. And I was getting into a strange habit where I realized, okay, maybe I should stop this because it's looking a little, I don't want to say obsessed. That's too strong of a word, but almost every other morning I would post on my Twitter feed the sandwich that I was about to eat. And I'm like, this really looks like the same sandwich, just maybe taken at different angles each day. And it also reminded me of that guy who's on Instagram who takes a picture of himself grinning every day. I don't know if you've heard.
That's a thing? No. What kind of sociopath?
I would have to find him. I haven't looked him up in years, but there's this guy who every day will just post a picture of himself smiling.
That sounds super creepy.
I was about to say it's not as creepy as it sounds. It's genuinely just him looking happy.
It's cute.
Yeah. I mean, if it's something that's like in your feed and you're not looking just at his profile, because I'm pretty sure if you looked at just his Instagram feed, all you see was just this smiling
face.
Black man just looking happy. And, but for it to just come up in your regular feed, I'm like, oh, a smile. How nice. And then you just carry on. So I say all that to say that I felt like for a little while, my Twitter feed, if you go through all my images, that's all you would see is just these pictures of breakfast sandwiches, which is pretty much the same. I get the same order. And today I am happy to announce, wait, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to be feeling. I feel like it's emotional a little bit because I'm kind of wiping tears away a little bit, but I finally was asked, do you want your usual?
Oh, you've made it. How does that feel?
Oh, it felt so good to not have to go up and say, yes, could I have a bacon, egg, and Swiss on a croissant?
Oh, bless it. You made it.
I made it. So like this lovely woman just looked up, so your usual? I'm like, yes, please. And then I just go off to the side and wait patiently for my sandwich.
Oh, bless your little heart. You made it. I'm so proud of you.
I made it. I'm so excited. Today also, there was, I'm not sure if he's a student or a resident or what's his deal. I think he's new, at least to the hospital. So he was looking at people, like what they were ordering, looking at the menu, which I pretty much showed him. He didn't realize there was a menu on the side. I'm like, oh, there's a menu right there. I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what do you get? What did you recommend? I'm like, well, I normally just get a breakfast sandwich. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll try that. And if memory serves, I think maybe he got like some kind of sausage thing, maybe on a roll. I don't know what he got. But later, well, since I got my sandwich first, he not only heard my order after, when she's finished making it, she's like, oh, bacon, egg, and Swiss on a croissant. Later, he found me after I paid for my sandwich and everything. He's like, hey, that sounded really good. I should have got that. Maybe I'll get that next time.
So not only do you have a regular, but now you're recommending to randoms. Like, I'm so proud of you.
I know. It's like I'm growing or something. I don't know. It's amazing. So the thing also about the sandwich is I tend to share with people, not just Twitter, but occasionally I'll tell a friend like, hey, I'm having this delicious sandwich, and delicious is always my go-to word. But as often as I type it, my phone will just remain, I don't know, a jerk at times. I mean, we can all, agree and associate, and that autocorrect can sometimes be the enemy. And for whatever reason, delicious always like autocorrects to Felicia. So today, I think I sent that out as a text, so it's not a tweet you can find. However, I probably might start doing this after this podcast, but I texted that something to the effect that, I feel like I should read it because I don't want to misquote it in some grotesque way, just to, make sure everyone can get the full effect. Boop, boop, boop. I also just finished a Felicia breakfast sandwich, which has helped because I was feeling kind of blah. And sometimes you feel blah because you need something, some substance, some nourishment.
Mm-hmm.
So Felicia is a sandwich. So that is my takeaway with this. If what's that? I'm sorry.
So you're naming your sandwiches now. I don't think I knew this. And I don't know how I feel about it.
Well, I was going to say I don't know any Felicias personally. I do, but I haven't really spoken with them in years. But I'm not naming the sandwich after them. It's because of a typo. My sandwich is delicious. Came out to be somewhat my sandwich is Felicia. So every bacon, egg, and Swiss on a toasted croissant would be named Felicia. Just because. And that is...
Understand.
That is now
law. And I approve.
Thank you.
Yeah, I approve.
So like, oh, what do you got there? Oh, you got a Felicia. Oh, nice. Tasty. It is, because I mean, love the way she makes it. It's all like kind of, croissants are already supposed to be kind of naturally buttery. I say naturally when it's a baked item, but still, it's made with a lot of butter. But still, when it's toasted, there's more butter going on there. And then the egg has a little bit of it's great. It's delicious. So that was my breakfast. Started my day off right. And it's a good way to start the day. Have a sandwich. Name it Felicia. Moving on.
I agree. Yeah.
Do you normally have breakfast?
I do. I try not to skip it. I don't skip it really. Breakfast is definitely something I keep up with, and we commune every day.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
I believe in a good breakfast.
I can't say that I do, but most days it's normally consisting of some kind of sandwich because I can, take it on the go, even though that seldom ever happens. I'm normally is like, oh, sandwich time. I'm going to sit down and enjoy this, take a few minutes, mentally prepare for the day and just, get into it, but also enjoy it. I'm like, that was a good bite right there. And make sure I, hit all the points of savory deliciousness. What I'm really hoping is I'm making somebody very hungry if they're not already hungry and they're going to start driving to, I don't know, the nearest place they can get a breakfast sandwich
Dunkin'.
from. The nearest Dunkin'. And I'll even say this, like the sandwiches at work are better than the ones at Dunkin'. I'll
Wow. Okay.
I am on the record of saying that.
Okay.
Because I'll go ahead and get the whole croissant thing. I'll order a Felicia. And no, it's not a true Felicia because they don't have Swiss cheese. So what I tried. Yes.
Oh, go ahead. I have a bit of a grievance, but it can wait. So go ahead.
I will say that as far as I know, they don't have Swiss cheese, but I'll test them as I'll also order through the app, my sandwiches, and I can choose to have white cheddar cheese instead of their regular boring American cheese. There's boring American cheese for everything. It's boring. Just, if you have other options, take those options. And sometimes they are paying attention. Sometimes they aren't. And the other reasons why I don't really care for their sandwiches is because they always seem like they've been a little burnt a little bit, but I'll still eat them. Still edible.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your grievance?
I just don't care. My grievance is the way that you're saying croissant. Say croissant in the way that you said it.
Croissant?
That's not how you said it. How did you say it?
Croissant?
You said croissant. It is croissant.
Croissant?
Or croissant, if you want to say it,
croissant.
If you want to be like super like French and ha ha ha. What's the word am I trying to say? Yeah, but it's not croissant.
I'm saying it like a full-blooded American?
No, you're saying it incorrectly.
Oh, okay.
Which is also kind of like full-blooded American. So there you go.
Well, at least I am not like some other like full-blooded Americans saying like tortilla. That drives me crazy.
I truly believe that people don't say that in that incorrect manner. Like they've got to be joking. They can't be seriously saying tortilla and be saying it with their whole chest and be meaning it like that. There's just
You
no
got
way.
them there quesadillas.
Now you're sounding like you're from the South, and even at least I haven't heard it. But even I don't think say it like that, and be like believe that we're saying it correctly. At least I hope.
Mhm.
I never want to hear this out in the wild in real life.
Oh, just people just saying quesadillas, just like
Quesadilla and tortilla. Like, what kind of monster? Like, what? No.
I mean, you see two L's there, not knowing that the two L's are a letter, like in Spanish, but it's maybe a bit of arrogance and ignorance for some people, I think, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Maybe. I can see that being arrogance or ignorance. Just not wanting to say things correctly.
Would you also pronounce the L in salmon?
No. And yes, I silently judge people who do. And I do know people who do. And every time they say it, I'm just like, I cringe and I die a little bit on the inside. I'm like, man, you don't pronounce it.
Well,
like
Salomon is
herbs,
my favorite. Oh, herbs?
It's no, you're not
Herbs?
supposed to pronounce the H. No, yeah, that's wrong. It's herbs, not herbs. You're not British. You're not wrong. You're saying it wrong.
Well, it'd be my honor to say herbs in your
my
presence. I want some herbs on my quesadilla. We're moving on. I guess, yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to our Black History fact. Once I get my little soundboard here together. More sounds. Oh, something else has been updated. Fantastic.
Is that the new jingle for Black History Fact?
Unfortunately, no. Actually, no, I'm not going to change that one. I do have a new segment coming up, but I don't have a jingle for it yet, but we'll get to that soon. Right now, it's time for our Black History Fact.
Black History.
Black History.
Black History. Black History. Facts.
All right. And today's Black History Fact is by the name of, where did I leave that page? Was it this one? It was this one. Are you familiar with Henry Box Brown?
I am not. This is, oh, no, I don't remember. I don't recall his name.
Okay. Well, there's so much about him, and it's a marvel that like we have not seen like an adaptation of his life yet, as none that I'm aware of. But he's most notable for being an American slave. He's born circa 1815. Well, okay, he's not notable for being an American slave, but he was a slave who escaped by arranging to have himself mailed in a wooden crate.
Oh, wow. How did that work out for him?
It worked out well because he escaped, and once he did escape, he moved to England, lived there for 25 years, and touring with an anti-slavery panorama, which is something I looked up because I'm like, what is this? Or what they call a moving panorama. And it's like this giant painting that would basically, I don't want to say it moves, but people know what a panorama is. It's just a very, very long kind of either picture of some sort. They would put these on rolls or rollers, and then they would just kind of roll it, and someone would either maybe give a lecture while it was rolling, or the music would be playing. And he helped develop one of these systems in order for this to happen. And I'm assuming he must have gave some lectures about how he escaped slavery and just anti-slavery in general.
Yeah. Wow.
Not only that,
amazing.
oh yeah, it's very interesting because not only that, but he also toured not just as a speaker. Oops, I didn't see what this one was. I don't know what that is, but he also was a magician. So
multi-talented.
Very. And he went by the name Professor H. Box Brown as he, performed over the years. And and he lived to be, did they say what age he was? I should have set up here. 81 or 82 years old. And he died in Canada.
Nice long life. Man. Yeah, I love it. Kudos to him.
Kudos indeed. Now, I have no segue yet again for our next segment, which is, why didn't I put that over there? Oh, well.
Word watch.
And today's word is malfeasance. Only because yes.
Well, that's a good word.
It is. Not really. If it's a word I don't hear that often, but I'm like, wow, it's just a strong word. And for those that don't know, it just means like wrongdoing, and you can apply it to many other technical terms. But yeah, wrongdoing. But it came up in a show that sadly is tainted by the stink of a very disgusting man. But it came up and I'm like, wow, that's a really good word. And the show I was watching was The Nevers, created by that guy. But the show is still interesting. And I guess I'm kind of hooked enough to keep watching until maybe the season is over, I guess. Yeah, malfeasance. And there's another word that they said, but
the Indu Podcast.
Hey, dear listeners, just a gentle reminder that you can support the Indube Network by subscribing to the Indube Patreon at patreon.com/Indube.
But hold up, Sterling. I keep hearing about this website. What is Patreon?
So glad you asked. Patreon is a membership platform where subscribers can pay, fund, or donate to creators for content. In other words, if you subscribe for a small monthly fee, you can get bonus podcasts, reviews, videos, and just awesome extra goodies from the Indube Network.
So all that extra stuff we couldn't fit in this episode they're listening to right now will be on the Patreon?
Exactly, and so much more.
Oh, really? Well, where does my money go?
Well, podcasts cost money. Microphones, conferencing software, and host websites aren't free. So every little bit that a patron chips in helps produce the content they already love and enjoy. And for your contributions, based on how much you give per month, will unlock more perks to be enjoyed that are created specifically for patrons.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So where do I go again?
Patreon.com/Indube. Browse around. Some posts are free. Most are $1, but you're free to do more and you will get more. And we at the Indube Network will certainly appreciate the help keeping the studio lights on.
That's for sure. And thank you to the patrons that are already supporting and enjoying all that extra bonus content. Like that one video where you did that one thing you said you wouldn't, couldn't, and shouldn't do.
Oh, I know. And I almost got killed to death trying to do it, but I did it and now it's done.
That was hilarious.
Good times.
Good times.
And now for our new segment, which does not have a jingle yet, but we're going to see how this plays out. And I guess it's almost like a bit of a game. So, Kortney, get ready. I think what I'll do is I'll read you the headline, and you can either guess or if you want to hear the rest of the article for more tips. Oh, I didn't even tell you what the game was. I'm calling it Florida or Floridon't.
I love it. What are the rules here?
The rules here are you are to guess if this is a story that comes from the great state of Florida or it's not, basically. So a lot of the stories,
Florida,
I don't say a
not
lot of them.
Real?
Oh, not from Florida. Like there'll be real stories, but it's up to you to decide, is this a Florida man who is going crazy as per usual? No offense to other Floridians that are actually normal. and it may not necessarily always be a man. It might be a woman. It might be an animal. or it just might be an event that happens in Florida, and it's just so Floridian that you just like, of course it's Florida. So yeah,
gotcha.
So you basically you decide this is Florida or this is not Florida.
All right, I'm ready.
You ready? All right,
I'm
let
ready.
us go to our first one. And I think I may end up reading the article. Depends on if it's long. Like if it's a long article, then I may not. But I will start with the first one. And now, again, Florida or Floridon't. It's up to you to decide if this takes place in Florida. Man charged for trying to steal nearly $2,000 of shrimp and meat from Costco.
Floridon't, not in Florida.
Not in Florida. Correct. It actually happened in Connecticut.
Well, the shrimp kind of tipped me off.
I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know if they sell shrimp in Florida. I feel like they would, but I feel like they're not as maybe not as interested in shrimp in Florida as they should be. I don't know.
I thought what might give it away is that it's like on a coast, so they would have a lot of seafood anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, good job. Let me find the next one because I had them all ready. Oh, nope, that's not a story. Oh wait, no, it's in here. I'm sorry. It's loading.
Loading.
Oh, where is the other headline?
Loading.
They changed it, the titling a little bit. Woman arrested after hurling Whopper in racist Burger King tirade.
Definitely Florida.
What they definitely called it before was Ultimate Karen gets arrested for a racist tirade and hurling Whopper. But you said Florida. You are correct. She is a Florida woman.
That's definitely Florida.
Yeah. What was also funny to me was that I thought about this story and maybe recommending it to the Black Guy Who Tips podcast because he basically reads story messing with black people. That's not the name of it. I can't say it here because this is a family show. And like, this would be one of the perfect stories. And sure enough, it came up, I think, for the segment that I thought he would use it for. So I'm like, he already got it. So that is, you are 2. You got 2 right, and I got one more for you.
All right.
Trying to get back to the source where I got it from. All right. Now, this is more of a series of tweets, but I can read the headline and I can give you more information if you want. But a wandering tiger has unnerved a city. The man who fled with the tiger is a murder suspect.
Not Florida.
Well done. This happened in Houston.
Woo-hoo. Well, and I knew that one.
Figures.
I'd heard about that one.
Figures. All right,
well,
fine.
And I want more information about that because you know how I feel about Tiger King. And they're also in this like sort of the South. I think they're in Oklahoma, and I don't think that's the South, but you know, whatever. But the fact that it happened in Houston in like a suburb, like looks like a pretty affluent suburb of Houston. Now, granted, he didn't live in that suburb, but why was he there? Who did he murder? Allegedly.
Allegedly.
What happened? Where is he now? Where did he flee to? What?
You talking about the murder suspect or the tiger?
The murder suspect? The murder suspect. Like, where did he flee to? Where did the murder suspect flee to with his tiger friend? I just have questions. So many questions.
I've got answers, though. So I'll just kind of read through. I do. A tiger wandering in Houston set off of a hunt on Sunday, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, by the way. Look out for that tiger I got you. For a man who drove off with the animal and who officials said had been charged with murder and released on bond. He has been taken into custody, but the tiger's whereabouts are still unknown.
Oh, so the tiger is still at large, but the man,
Yes.
ooh, that's not good. Like there's a
So
whole
at least your
tiger
double
just
threat,
running around.
right? Your double
Huh?
threat has gone down to 1. You just have 1
Well,
threat
there you
now.
go. Yeah.
Mhm.
Huh.
So it's better.
Small wonders, you know?
Right. You know, kind of a good story, I guess, or not a good story. I mean, the happy ending, half happy ending, if such a thing. The tiger was never seen again. So I will give you I guess maybe a bonus round, but this is also my intro into, yes, Spookum Zone.
Uh-oh.
So, as I was saying, for another interruption, that this is a bonus for you that you can guess if this takes place in Florida. But this is also our Spookum Zone. And the headline goes like this. Hopefully you didn't read it already earlier on Twitter, but here we go. Beachgoer stumbles on rarely seen deep sea creature known as footballfish.
Now, and am I guessing, is this from Florida?
Yes.
I did see it, but I can't remember where. I'm going to say yes, from Florida. In Florida.
Oh, you lost the bonus points. It's in
Oh,
California.
no. Dang it.
Mhm.
That nabbit.
So did you look at any of the pictures?
I did. And oh my gosh. Like,
It's disturbing.
it's
Yes.
disturbing. And why, if this is a deep sea creature, why is it on land? What happened to you? Who did this to you? What's going on?
I think that's part of the mystery of like possibly however it died, and I guess it just floated up to the top and then got drifted ashore and gross. See, these are one of those things, one of those creatures that once I ascend up to heaven and I sit at that really, really long table that's in like every household, like, you know, just with the meal that you're sitting with the Heavenly Father and everything. And I'll be like, I do have a question for you. Actually several. Anglerfish, which this is a family of. And oh man, there was another one too. I want to say mosquitoes, but definitely millipedes or centipedes, whichever the ones is scarier, creepier. And then just also platypuses. And why? Well, I know why platypuses.
Just why? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those in particular, the platypuses again, I'm fine. I'm thinking that one is actually just a practical joke, just something that made God laugh. I'm like, let them figure that one out. But you know, as for the other ones, like, what was the purpose of making this and allowing this to just dwell within our world, just to creep us out and be nightmare fuel? Because gross and yikes.
Yeah.
If you look up yikes in the dictionary, there's a picture of a football fish. So yeah.
And it looks like a football and a fish and like death and destruction at the same time. To me, it does. Yeah.
I think I was just focused on the mouth and then that little tassel that hangs off its head or her head. I'm sorry.
Little tassel.
It's terrifying. And for those who are not sure, without looking up, you know, Googling, you can, if you've seen the movie Finding Nemo, that is an anglerfish. A football fish looks very similar to that, where it's just a lot darker. And the one that was pretty much a beached football fish, I think it was probably dead already, but still, that one, it has, instead of like a little that looks like a little light bulb, it just looks like a little, like, you know, party time thing. Just yeah, it's disturbing. I don't want to. Yeah, so it freaked me out a little bit, so that's why I threw it in the Spookum Zone, because I thought, hey, this will be fun. But you tend to read a lot of the sources that I'm reading, so I have to do a better job at finding some stuff to get you. But I will get you.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get me, but keep trying.
Try I will. Challenge accepted. Too early. Now I have to open my soundboard again because we're trying to figure out some issues we were having. Okay. Oh, right, because it's time for letters. Sorry.
Letters, oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
Yay, it's time for letters. One of our favorite times of the show where you can ask us anything. You can use the hashtag AskAndDoob, send us emails or direct messages, or what one of great friend and fan of the show, Dan, actually sent me a text message for this question, which reads as follows. Do you celebrate your first birthday on the day you were born or at the end of your first year of life? Now, you, Kortney, actually had the privilege of hearing this question as he was asking it to me. And you had some time to think about it, as did I. And he makes a good point where people are like, oh, wow, I'm turning 50 and it's been 50 years. Well, he explained it much better. And I probably could have even broken out my own phone just to record him asking the question and then play it back so we can answer it here.
So he essentially was asking, do you celebrate like going into your like first year of life, or do you celebrate the completion? And therefore, do you like for going forward, do you celebrate the going forward part, like celebrating, yeah, I just turned 50, or do you celebrate? To me, that answers the question. You celebrate, yeah, when you first are born, that's a whole big thing. It's quite traumatic for everyone involved. So definitely celebrate that you made it here on this good old green earth safely. We hope. Then you celebrate, you start the birthday celebrations after your first year and you go on through there, because to me it gets a little, maybe it's the way society is set up, but you don't celebrate your 51st year of life or going into your 51st year of life on your 50th birthday.
Right.
That could get really confusing.
It could. And I think that's when it comes to like New Year's, when people will say, oh, this is page 1 of like 2021, and could kind of think of it that way, I guess. But it's also, you have to count every day. I have no idea what day or what page I'm on today. And that goes for 2021. I don't know what page this is. I'm sure someone out there knows. Or there's actually calendars that do it for you. They'll just count like, hey, this is the whatever day of the year. So I'm like, oh, great. But your own personal year, I feel it's a little bit different. And I tend to not count my years that way. Not that that's a problem, but you know. So yeah, I agree. That's how we should celebrate, or do celebrate. And it's after that completion of that year. It's like, you made it. Good job.
Yeah.
You stayed alive that much longer. Good job.
Right. Exactly.
Or you got to make that route, that loop around the sun. Good job.
Right. Exactly. That's how I feel about it.
And that's normally what I tell people, or I'll say, hey, congratulations. You made it around another orbit. Or I'll say happy life anniversary, which someone will tell me. Well, someone did tell me, like, well, that's every day. I'm like, I guess. I mean, I thought anniversary was somewhat kind of limited to a year. Not limited, but it meant like annual, like a yearly thing. I guess. I don't know. Words. So weird. But that is the only question we have, as far as I know. Well, yeah, I mean, of course I would know if we had more, but we don't have any more. So I will remember this time to close the bag, because I often forget to do so. And you know what that means?
Another letter from our listener today.
So yes, thanks again. And if you want to send your messages or letters, I've already said that before. So yeah, that is that. I did have one additional story to share, which I kept forgetting because I think even the last episode I forgot to tell you about it. And
What's that?
I think I did I tell you that the kid was doing taekwondo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So because of COVID restrictions and what have you, the parents aren't allowed to actually be in the building. So what they have set up is a little camera. So you can kind of watch via Zoom, which is nice. It's, convenient. So we can hear the kids, and not just kids, but I guess anyone who's in the class, but mostly it's for the parents to watch the kids and see what they do. And also to know when, hey, class is over, come get your kid. So the Zoom class, they give out all the information to log in. And once you log in, you actually see much like any other meeting. And again, it's 2021. I just want to put that out there. So we've had like at least a year for people who aren't familiar with Zoom or even teleconferencing or like all of these ways we all communicate at home and learning, I guess, I don't know, etiquette, like Zoom etiquette, if you will, such as, you can turn your camera off if you're really not needed. And this is a taekwondo class. We're just watching the kids just to make sure, they're doing their thing. And it's not a bad thing if you have your camera on. Just, I guess, I don't know, be careful what you're doing. Most of them are just staring at the screen, because they're watching. But I guess what I'm trying to say and what I'm pleading for people to do, especially this year, like it would have been great if this was a year end or New Year's resolution that I'm giving people to do. Because that's the thing, right? You give other people a resolution. I don't know, I'm making it up. But if from now on going forward, please, if you are not speaking at all and you have nothing to say, just keep your whole thing on mute, please.
Yep.
Because with certain Zoom setups, if you make a noise, suddenly your image is going to pop up and take place of like, what we're watching. And now you're front and center. You're the star, whether you like it or not, because you didn't put your thing on Zoom. I say all this because there was one particular father who apparently unbeknownst to him, and I don't think he was fully paying attention, but he just let out like the most egregious burp you could ever imagine. And I'm like, oh, because it went straight to his camera and we're just watching him, us and like maybe 15 other parents. And it's like, you interrupted our, watching of our children. What is happening?
Right.
And then it goes back. So I'm like, but then he does it again. It's happened at least 3 times one day. And then there was another time where I think it was the next week. Ashley had it set up on her phone, and then we went to go get gas in the car, and I came back and Ashley just made a side comment. Like, I wonder if, the burping dad is going to come back. And no sooner did she say it than he showed up and burped again.
Wow. That's insane.
It got better because we realized that he left, because normally you can see people like if they're in the car just kind of watching like we were. But he, I guess, went home. And again, because he's making so much noise, we kind of keep seeing what's happening in his home. And it's like, okay, where are you going? And next thing we know, I was like, okay, we're looking at the ceiling now. And like, wait, are you in the bathroom? Please don't be in the bathroom. Oh, you're in the bathroom. Okay.
Oh no.
And he kind of keeps peering over his phone, looking at it. And and Ashley and I are just kind of peering back. Like, oh no, please don't. And then it was like, where are your hands? What are your hands doing? And then he just starts brushing his hair. I'm like, okay, it's safe. And then I think he picks up his phone and he starts leaving again. I was like, okay, he's coming back. Because class was almost over soon, but like we were on the edge of our seat, not knowing what was about to happen, if we were about to start hearing a stream of consciousness. Yeah. So please. And I know this has happened before, because I've seen like the articles and stories of like people who kind of forget that even their camera is on, let alone, their microphone being on, and they take entire like bathroom breaks.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, by the way, Susie, we can see everything that's happening. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And and I always kind of wonders, like, is anyone going to reach out to Burping Dad to let him know that he's on camera? But I feel like somebody must have at least one of these times, like, hey, can you at least mute your phone? Because we'll go back and we'll see that it's on mute. But this particular day, there were at least these incidents. It has not happened. So we just like, oh dear. Oh my. But fortunately, there was no exposures unwanted. And we didn't learn anything new about that man that we didn't already really know or want to know, except maybe his grooming technique. But other than that, we're fine. So, but the fun thing is once he arrived back into the parking lot, we were trying to point out like, ooh, it's that one, the silver SUV. That's him. Because
oh no,
because we could see, because he put a hat on after he did his hair, and then we could just matched up. I'm like, yep, that's him. That's Burping Dad. So yeah, that's just my word of warning and just pleading with all the meetings that you go to still, even though things are opening back up and going to offices, those that are still teleworking or Zooming or whatever, please just mute, turn the camera off if you need to, please. Thank you. That is my PSA for today. But yeah, I think that's that about, yeah. You haven't had any issues like that at any point?
No, thank God. I've heard all the Zoom mishaps and I have not experienced them personally. Thank goodness.
I'm glad that was just the word. It hadn't been any worse than that. And then again, even with my job, I don't really have that many of opportunity to be in a Zoom call, but I'll have them like with my church. But other than that, we pretty much all know what's going on most of the time. Some people forget that they have their mic open and then either start chatting or the TV is blaring in the background. And yeah, it's like, hey, bring it down. So with that, I do believe that wraps up this episode. Do you have any, before it's wrapped up completely, any recommendations for people to check out, watch, or listen, do?
Well, read the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. It's very good. I'm on book 3 and it's amazing. I heard that there's 2 more books in the series, and I heard that after this book that I'm on, it kind of starts to tank. We'll see. I'll be the judge of that. I'm going to read them all. But so far I'm loving the journey. I love it so much. So read with me and we can talk about it and just gush about it.
Lovely. I'll actually going to reread books that I have read since February, because while I feel like I've retained a good chunk of it, I want to do something more with it, like somewhat of a book report, if you will. Something probably for the Patreon. The most recent book that I read was Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, because I heard a lot about it. I'm like, let me go finally check it out. So I feel confident in saying that if I would have my 10,000 hours in anything, it would probably be audio engineering in general, because I've been doing that like for various churches for the past, I don't know, since I was like 12 or something. And I guess maybe podcasting would be coming up next, or at least broadcasting, because many hours in that. So it's been very interesting just to learn what makes people successful and what time and opportunity and just a whole bunch of things that it's interesting. It was a really interesting read, and I feel like I need to go read it again just to really absorb all the stuff that I took in, because like I do with podcasts, I kind of listen to audiobooks at like twice the speed, maybe 2.5, depending on my mood. And I know to some people that sounds like, wow, that was way too fast. The key is you have to kind of adjust it as you go up, so that way it doesn't sound like chipmunks or something. Because someone will just walk in, like if I'm playing it on a regular speaker, like, what in the world are you listening to? What is this gibberish? They're talking way too fast. But if you ease them in at like 1.5 and then you bring it up to 2, then it's normal. It's just people that talk really fast. The thing I'm afraid of, though, is I might be listening to some podcast, and if I ever get to meet that person in real life, I'll be like, why are you talking so slow? So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or, and I don't recommend you do this, but if you listen to it at a fast speed and you're used to it, don't switch back immediately to like a regular speed, because then it sounds like that it's like an old cassette tape that is about to just break your radio. Which
right.
I know I'm dating myself with that reference, because when was the last time you played a cassette tape?
It's been a long time.
Definitely. But
long time.
I'm not sure if I'm actually recommending Outliers because it's an old book, but hey, go for it. I'm trying to think if there's something else that I watched. I wouldn't recommend Invincible to everyone because that's a heavy show, but that is one show that I did finish recently. I don't recommend Shadow and Bone. That made me sleepy. There are some other stuff that I'm watching, but I have to wait until I finish it if I can depend on recommending it. But yeah, that's that. Do you have any? Well, I said recommendations, but shout outs, places people can find you if you want to be found, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, you can find me on the Twitters at IamKHinton, where I haven't been tweeting much about the book, this series, because I've been reading it and devouring it like crazy. But I do tweet a lot about plants and things. So yeah, join me there. There's something for everyone there, I'd say. So yeah, hit me up.
Great. And speaking of plants, I'll have to show you pictures of this bean plant that the kid has been growing. It's been out of control, and we recently had to kind of tear it away from the kitchen window because it was starting to intertwine with the blinds, and we don't want that. Beans are weird.
Happen.
Yeah,
they are,
and that they're weird. So yeah, we'll talk about that off mic, because I just forgot completely. So yeah. You can follow me on all things at Indoob. Go to indoob.com. Tell someone you value that you value them. Live without regrets and live for the folks you love. Please wash your legs, your face, the bottoms of your feet, and the undersides of your dishes. Get vaccinated and wear your masks. Plural, if you want. I've been your benevolent host, T. Sterling Watson. And remember, if the world didn't suck, we'd all fall off.
No.
Thanks for listening to the Indoob podcast, which was recorded from the south side of Wakanda in Little New Indubia on the corner of T'Chaka and MLK Drive, and is part of the Indoob network. Want more Indoob? Follow on Instagram and Twitter at Indoob, and on Facebook at IndoobPod. You can contact us and send Ask Indoob questions by emailing indoobpod@gmail.com. Want to support or donate? Find the T Public Store or become a patron on Patreon, where subscribing gives you perks and extra things from the Indoob network. Please subscribe, rate, comment, and share the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, Podbean, and wherever else podcasts are found. And of course, visit Indoob.com for all of this and much more. Thank you so much for letting us entertain, enlighten, and provide an auditory escape with knowledge and nonsense. Until next time.
Use your words, Chief. Good boy.
This has been another 3SFX production.